What's going on, Detroit Lions fans? It is the eve of Detroit Lions training camp. That's what we're here to talk about. Disclaimer again, I talked about the defense the other day. I'll tag that video at the end of this one. I already talked about the rookies going into training camp. So today my focus is going to be offense. And I will have to mention a rookie. I'll mention him at the end, but I'm not going to do a full dive into all the rookies. I can't. I'll try to tag 2 videos if you guys want to check both of those out. Talking offense, defense, and the rookies. So today focusing on just offense. I think the offense, we're just a little bit more, we're a little bit more of a unit that's higher expectations and bringing back most guys. So I wanted to talk offense last. That doesn't mean that they're the least. Our offense is going to be top 5 in the NFL this season. I truly believe that. We get that defense on par. I've been saying it all offseason, man. This team's going to be unstoppable. If we're competing and performing well at all 3 aspects of the game, defense, offense, special teams, we're going to be unstoppable. It's just the way it is. So I wanted to save last, but certainly not least, man, the heart and soul of this team is going to be the offensive line. So with getting into that, my concern is offensive line depth. I absolutely love our starters. I've said it. I think we have potentially 5 Pro Bowl guys on this offensive line. Frank Ragnow, Penei Sewell, Graham Glasgow, Kevin Zeitler, Taylor Decker. Those are 5 guys that could be at the Pro Bowl. I don't think a team has ever sent their whole starting offensive line to the Pro Bowl, so that would be absolutely awesome to see. Jared Goff, we know what we're getting out of him. You give him time, he's an assassin back there in the pocket. Weapons, we have weapons for days. We have weapons for absolute days. Both of our running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, I think is my breakout player of the year on offense. Donovan Peoples-Jones, don't sleep on him. I think he's going to be a nice contributor. But my question when it comes to depth is mainly on the offensive line. When training camp begins tomorrow, I'm going to be looking at some of these battles, these bloodbaths that Brad Holmes has talked about all offseason. If someone is to go down, who's going to be that 6th offensive lineman to come in? Is it going to be Colby Swordsdahl, Awasika, Mahogany? I think it's going to be one of those 3 guys. And luckily, we have a guy like Graham Glasgow, who's a versatile piece. He could play either of the guard positions or center. So I feel like that is a crucial piece, being able to play guard and center in the NFL, because I don't believe Swordsdahl, Awasika, or Mahogany should be playing center. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm not sure what the backup center is going to be after Graham Glasgow. Hopefully we don't get into that scenario. Hopefully, Frank just plays all 17 games and we're good to go. But if he has to miss some time, we could just slide Graham over there. And who's going to take Graham's place on this offensive line? Swordsdahl, Awasika, Mahogany. I think it's going to be a battle, an absolute battle to keep an eye on. Younger players, Mahogany and Swordsdahl. Swordsdahl's going into his 2nd year. Awasika played well last year when he had to come into some games. He didn't exactly set the world on fire, but he was serviceable, and that's all we really asked him to be. That's all we needed him to be. Mahogany, kid who comes in, drafted late in the draft. I think he should have gone a little earlier, so I think we got a little bit of good value there. In my mock drafts, we had him in like the 3rd, maybe even 2nd round, if I remember right, in some of our Detroit Done mock drafts. But I'm going to be paying attention to that battle. Who's going to come out on top? I don't know. It's really just going to be these guys fighting for rotational pieces because our offensive line is set. Second on my list, and again, this is not a ranking show. This is not a top 5 or anything like that. I'm just talking I got 4 guys here I'm going to be talking about mainly. I already talked about the offensive line. Next, Sione Vaki. Look, I know I said I wasn't going to talk rookies, but when it comes to running back depth, is he going to beat out Craig Reynolds for running back 3? If not, he's a special teamer. I get it. He's going to be an absolute weapon in the special teams game. I think that's where he's primarily going to see most of his playing time as a rookie, but he's a contingency plan for running back, safety, corner, wide receiver. He's just a nice little piece. You can just sleep a little easy at night knowing you got a Sione Vaki who can play 3 or 4 different positions depending. And again, contingency. That means he only plays those positions if something were to happen, if an injury pops up, if he has to shift over. And what he's going to be listed as on the depth chart, I have no idea. It doesn't matter to me. You could list him as a kicker, I guess, if you wanted to, and it wouldn't really change anything. So I'm paying attention to Sione Vaki just to see kind of what he does with the ball, where he's lining up. Is he going to be playing a running back 3? Is he going to be playing some safety? Don't know. Like I said, didn't really want to do a full dive into the rookie, so I'm not going to give that a lot of attention. I already did a rookie show again. Next, I'm going to be paying attention to this wide receiver battle. Who's going to be fighting it out for wide receiver 3, 4, we got guys like, 1 and 2 is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. 3, I would suspect would be Donovan Peoples-Jones, maybe Khalif Raymond. So who's really going to be fighting for that 4th role? Whoever doesn't win between, and this doesn't really matter, guys. It's just, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. They're just trying to make the team. I get it. And we're going to carry enough receivers where we're not going to have to worry. But just for the sake of show, wide receiver 3, let's just say Khalif Raymond wins it. Then who's going to be fighting for wide receiver 4? Is it going to be Donovan Peoples-Jones, Antoine Green, Traquan Smith, who I think is a nice little gadget piece that we got from the Saints, or an undrafted free agent in Isaiah Williams that I'm extremely high on, a kid that I'm really cheering for to make this team? And just real quick about Isaiah Williams, we have talked about him a lot. I think we've done 2 separate shows on him. I'm not sure he makes the team. I'm not sure. And I know that the Detroit Lions paid $250,000 for him to come here and come through training camp with us, but the money doesn't mean anything. The $250,000, not a lot of money to the Detroit Lions. That's a drop in the bucket compared to, normal folk like you and me. So I don't really pay attention to the money that he got paid. I think he has all the skills. I don't know if he makes the Detroit Lions. And with that being said, I think he's good enough to make another team's roster. The Detroit Lions, what we talk about all offseason is how we have one of the most complete rosters in the NFL, from top to bottom. And we got to talk about guys like Isaiah Williams. And we've been saying this for the last 2 years. We're going to have to cut guys that other teams will pick up to be on their 53-man roster and play meaningful football. So as much as I would absolutely love to have Isaiah Williams as a safety piece on that practice squad, I feel like he's not going to make the team. It will be, and we have to see. This is just a prediction. If he doesn't make the team, I believe his phone will be blowing up with a team wanting to add him to his 53-man roster, and I can't blame a guy for wanting to go play just Arizona. If Arizona calls him, why would you not take that opportunity to make an active roster and get to play football on Sundays? I'm cheering for him, but I feel like the Detroit Lions are just absolutely stacked. That's really all it is. It's nothing against Isaiah coming from Illinois. We were very high on him the second we signed him. We started looking into some stuff. Kind of had to hit the brakes a little bit when some people were comparing him to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I can kind of see what people are talking about when they call him the Yak King, because he's not going to blow you away athletically. He doesn't have the fastest 40 time or anything like that, but he just finds ways to get open. He finds ways to make football plays, and that's really all you can ask. And that's, that's part of the game too. You might not have elite speed or elite athleticism, but he finds holes in defenses and he can make some plays. So I'm looking at Isaiah Williams, hoping he makes the team. I don't think he clears it, and I don't think he makes it to the practice roster. I do think someone will pick him up. Just a prediction from me. Leave it in the comments and let me know how you feel about that. Last, and certainly not least, this isn't even like what I'm watching for, because I already did an episode about Hendon Hooker. I think he's a pivotal piece in this training camp. We need good quarterback play in preseason camp, a lot in preseason games. A lot of people are depending on it. Pretty much everyone I've already talked about, these running backs, these offensive linemen, these wide receivers. Hendon Hooker has to be really good to give these guys some good, meaningful reps, some good film out there, and force Brad and Dan to make a tough decision when it comes cut time. Hendon Hooker's safe. I'm not saying at all that he's not going to make the team. He's going to be quarterback too. I've said I want a heavy, heavy dose of him in the preseason, joint practices, and in the games. But what I'm trying to say is, if I can iterate this well enough, is the jobs of a lot of these guys that I'm talking about depend on good quarterback play, where we don't have to trot out Adrian Martinez and Nate Sudfeld in preseason games, and guys aren't getting the ball thrown their way, or offensive linemen aren't being shifted or audibled into the right position or run scheme, whatever it may be, if that makes any sense for you guys. Hendon Hooker has to provide high-level quarterback play for these competitions to really be interesting and to make Dan and Brad have to make tough decisions. I don't want to see Jared Goff in preseason games, and I'm sure we will, and I'll be holding my breath. I'm sure we'll see the whole offensive line and Jared Goff for a series or two. Please, God, no more than 2. I would rather them just show up on preseason games and be in a hoodie with sweatpants on or shorts, whatever it is, and a headset on listening to the game. I'm really wanting Hendon Hooker to have a good preseason, to see, also for him to see what we have in the future at quarterback, down the road. I know that's not anything we have to worry about anytime soon. That book is closed when Jared Goff signed his contract. So I'm just looking at those handful of things, guys. I do think Hendon Hooker has to have a good preseason for the sake of others, to get some good reps, we can't have bad quarterback play like we did last year in the preseason. People's careers depend on it. Their livelihood depends on it. You know, their NFL career depends on having good quarterback play. Give them the best available option to make this team. And that's really going to come down to Hendon Hooker. So that's what I wanted to talk about, guys. Sione Vaki, the guards, these wide receiver battles, Hendon Hooker. Again, I think we're pretty set on offense. We know what we're going to do. We just got to go out and execute. Our defense was kind of the question mark, so I already covered that. Again, if you guys want to check that episode out, leave some comments down below. Stick around, hit that like button, guys. I'll be back later with another show.